Guru Maharaj, do you have anybody there who wants to lead? Saraswati, Machi, would you like to lead Kirtan?
Yes, just a second. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र श्रीमते श्री भक्तिवेदांता स्वामी महाराज श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांता सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। आनंद कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय। श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। श्री गंगा मैया की जय। श्री जमुना मैया की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। Gora Premanande, all glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna, Gora Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Welcome everybody to Caitanya Caritamrita with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Thursday, September 11th, 2025, and today we're starting with Caitanya Caritamrita Adi Leela 17.1. We had just finished reading the introduction last time, so we're on 17.1. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Just a heads up, I will have to leave earlier today due to a conflict again. So I'm wondering if Saraswati Mataji may be able to take the chat at that point. Okay, thank you. Guru Maharaj, would you like to begin with text 1?
Vande Swarad Bhute Ham Tam Chaitanam Yat Prasadataha Yavana Sumana Yante Krishna Nama Prajopaka. Let me offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by whose mercy even unclean Yavanas become perfectly well-bred gentlemen by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Such is the power of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purport. There is a persistent misunderstanding between caste Brahmanas and advanced Vaishnavas, or Goswamis, because caste Brahmanas, or Smartas, are of the opinion that one cannot become a Brahmin unless he changes his body. As we've discussed several times, it is to be understood that by the supremely powerful potency of the Lord, as described by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, everything is possible. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is as fully independent as Krishna. Therefore, no one can interfere with his activities. If he wants, by his mercy, he can convert even a Yavana, an unclean follower of non-Vedic principles, into a perfectly well-behaved gentleman. This is actually happening in our propagation of the Krishna consciousness movement. Members of the present Krishna consciousness movement were not born in India, nor do they belong to the Vedic culture. But within the short time of 4 or 5 years, they've become such wonderful devotees simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, that even in India they are well received as perfectly well-behaved Vaishnavas wherever they go. Although less intelligent men cannot understand it, this is the special power of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, the body of a Krishna conscious person changes in many ways. Even in the United States, when our devotees chant on the street, American ladies and gentlemen inquire from them whether they are actually Americans, because no one could expect Americans to become such nice devotees all of a sudden. Even Christian priests are greatly surprised that all these boys from Jewish and Christian families have joined this Krishna consciousness movement. Before joining, they never regarded any principles of religion seriously, but now they have become sincere devotees of the Lord. Everywhere, people express this astonishment, and we take great pride in the transcendental behavior of our students. Such wonders are possible, however, only by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They are not ordinary or mundane. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tiname Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachate Shatarani. So the author, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, offers his respects to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Swaira Adbhuta Iham, who's completely independent and who can do anything he likes. Adbhuta, he can do something astonishing or wonderful. Yet prasadata yavana sumanayante Krishna nama prajopaka. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna, the Yavanas, those who are of very low status, low in their habits, low in their, because of their lack of culture, can become very nice gentlemen. Prabhupada uses that term. And Prabhupada writes from experience that this has happened by virtue of his preaching in the Western countries. Thousands and thousands of people who were outside the Vedic culture in terms of their habits, their activities, their diet, their sex life, their intoxication, meat eating, gambling, illicit sex. Such persons have become very nice devotees by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or by Srila Prabhupada's mercy extended from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's wonderful to see these verses which were expressed within a limited social background, limited social context, appear now in this larger context in which Lord Chaitanya's mercy has spread all over the world. Prabhupada points out the view of the Smartas that no, to become a Brahmin, you have to change your body, then next life you can be a Brahmin, like us, born in Brahmin families. But elsewhere, Prabhupada cites Yata Kanchanatam Yati, that just as bell metal can be changed to gold by an alchemical process, so even a person of the lowest stature can become a first-class devotee of the Lord, and therefore better than even an ordinary Brahmin. Hare Krishna.
For our next text, Radesha Prabhu, are you available? Also, I will need to drop off soon. So, Saraswati, you can.
I can just take it.
Okay.
Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jayādvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhaktivinoda. All glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Kaishor Lilar, Sutra Korila Ganon, Yogan Lilar Sutra Kori Anukram. I've already given a synopsis of the Kaishor Lila of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now let me enumerate his youthful pastimes in chronological order. The Kaishor Lila are the childhood pastimes, now the youth. Vidya Saundarya Sadvesha Sampoga Nritya Kirtanaihi Prema Nama Pradhanaischa Gauro Divyati Yogane. Exhibiting his scholarship, beauty, and fine dress, Lord Chaitanya danced and chanted as he distributed the holy name of the Lord to awaken dormant love of Krishna. Thus, Lord Sri Gaurasundar shone in his youthful pastimes. Yovana Prabeshe Angir Anga Vibhushan Dibya Bastra Dibya Besha Malya Chandan. As he entered his youth, the Lord decorated himself with ornaments, dressed himself in fine cloth, garlanded himself with flowers, and smeared himself with sandalwood. Vidyar Audotye Kaho Na Kore Gonon Shokola Pandita Jini Kore Adyapon. By dint of pride in his education, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not caring for anyone else, defeated all kinds of learned scholars while executing his studies. Srila Prabhupada mentioned one time in a lecture that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could defeat some proposition in such a way that no one could establish it. And then he would establish the conclusion in such a way that no one could defeat it. And then he would defeat it in such a way that no one could establish. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a scholar. Scholars do this. They argue over this or that statement. So that was his scholarly prowess. Vayu Vyadhi Chole Koilo Prema Porokash Bhaktagon La Koilo Vibidha Bilash. In his youth, the Lord exhibited his ecstatic love of Krishna on the plea of disturbances of the bodily airs. Accompanied by his confidential devotees, he enjoyed various pastimes in this way. Purport: according to Ayurvedic treatment, the entire physiological system is conducted by three elements, namely Vayu, Pitta, and Kapha, air, bile, and mucus. Secretions within the body transform into other secretions like blood, urine, and stool. But if there are disturbances in the metabolism, the secretions turn into kapha, mucus, by the influence of the air within the body. According to the Ayurvedic system, when the secretions of bile and formation of mucus disturb the air circulating within the body, 59 varieties of diseases may occur. One such disease is craziness. On the plea of disturbance of the bodily air and metabolism, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu acted as if crazy. Thus, in his school, he began to explain the grammar of verbs through Krishna consciousness. explaining everything in grammar in relationship to Krishna, the Lord induced his students to refrain from worldly education, for it is better to become Krishna conscious and in this way attain the highest perfectional platform of education. On these grounds, Sri Jiva Goswami later compiled the grammar entitled Caritamrita Vyakaran. People in general consider such explanations crazy. Therefore, the Lord's purpose in his attitude of craziness was to explain that there's nothing within our experience but Krishna consciousness, for everything may be dovetailed with Krishna consciousness. These pastimes have been very vividly described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Lila, chapter 1. So Vayu Prabhupada explains at some length Vayu Vyadhi. There should be some proper balance of the Kapapita Vayu, the three humors within the body. But when Vayu is deranged, when it's, what's the word? When it's deranged, then madness can be the result. So that's Vayu Vyadhi. The air goes crazy, or the air becomes, what's the word? Aggravated. It's just goes out of balance, out of whack. And then the result can be agitation of the mind and all-out madness. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, on the plea of madness, was acting in these mad ways. He's a grammar teacher. Now all of a sudden he's teaching everything about grammar in relation to Krishna. So we can call this obsessive compulsive behavior, a kind of madness, or just forget obsessive compulsive. It's just mad. Everything's, you're supposed to be explaining grammar. Now everything's Krishna, 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 Krishna. It's wild. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did that. He was teaching grammar, but now he decided or took the course that why just grammar, this mundane grammatical education is useless. So he was explaining everything in terms of Krishna consciousness. And every verb, every noun, every grammatical construction now has some relationship to Krishna. And Srila Jiva Goswami, honoring Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, wrote a grammar in which everything is related to Krishna. So the long vowels are, what is that? I've forgotten.
Trivikrama.
Trivikrama. And the short vowels are Vamana. So long and short vowels are remembered in terms of Krishna's activities. So, and everything, all grammar. Panini is the standard authority on grammar. His grammar is what everyone learns. But now Jiva Goswami has written this Caritamrita Vyakaran, in which one learns grammar through Krishna consciousness. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is describing everything in this way. Anything? Any questions, comments? Okay. Saveta Korila Prabhu Gayate Gamon Ishar Udir Shange Tatai Milon. Thereafter the Lord went to Gaya. There he met Srila Ishwara Puri. Sri Chaitanya purport, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gaya to offer respectful oblations to the forefathers. This process is called Pinda Dan. In Vedic society, after the death of a relative, especially one's father or mother, one must go to Gaya and there offer oblations to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. Therefore, hundreds and thousands of men gather in Gaya daily to offer such oblations or shraddha. Following this principle, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also went there to offer pinda to his dead father. Fortunately, he met Ishwarapuri there. Gaya is in the province of what is now Bihar. It's on the bank of a river called Phalgunadi. Phalgu means dry, the dry river, called Phalgunadi because if you go to that river, you'll see that it's not just water flowing as in the Jamuna or the Ganga. It's sand. But the water is flowing through the sand, or it's what would you say? Something like a river of wet sand. Or a combination of sand and water. So Phalgunadi, it's not a regular river of water, but more like a river of sand. Or something like that. There's a word like a suspension of sand and water. And there's a temple there of Lord Vishnu. And there's a lotus footprint. This may be an editor's work, Lotus Feet of Vishnu. There's one footprint, a footprint of one foot of the Lord. And as Prabhupada mentions, pilgrims go there to offer pinda. They offer oblations to the Lord on behalf of their departed forefathers, especially mother and father. So Lord Chaitanya went there to offer pinda for his departed father, and there he met Ishwarapuri. Dika anantare hoilo premier prakash deshe agamon puna premiero bilash. In Gaya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was initiated by Ishwarapuri, and immediately afterwards he exhibited signs of love of Godhead. He again displayed such symptoms after returning home. Purport: when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gaya, accompanied by many of his disciples, he became sick on the way. He had such a high fever that he asked his students to bring water that had washed the feet of Brahmanas. And when they brought it, Lord drank it and was cured. Therefore, everyone should respect the position of a Brahmana, as indicated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Neither the Lord nor his followers displayed any disrespect to Brahmanas. Followers of the Lord must be prepared to offer Brahmanas all due respect. But preachers of Lord Chaitanya's cult object if someone presents himself as a Brahmin without having the necessary qualifications. The followers of Lord Chaitanya cannot blindly accept that everyone born in a Brahmin family is a Brahmin. Therefore, one should not indiscriminately follow the Lord's example of showing respect to Brahmins by drinking water that has washed their feet. gradually the Brahmin families have become degraded because of the contamination of Kali Yuga. Thus, they misguide people by exploiting their sentiments. It's implicit here that formerly the descendants of Brahmins would be expected to be Brahmins. By culture, family, tradition, and training, they would naturally develop the Brahminical qualities, or children meant to be Brahmins would be born in Brahmin families. But in Kali Yuga, the Brahmin families degrade, and we hear in the Puranas that even demons take birth in Brahmin families in Kali Yuga. So as Prabhupada says, we can't accept the notion that just by birth one is a Brahmin. Brahmajanati iti Brahmin. One has to develop the qualifications of a Brahmin. Then he can be accepted. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave so much respect to the Brahmins. And Prabhupada indicates here that the followers of Lord Chaitanya should also give so much respect to the Brahmins, but not to the so-called Brahmins, who are Brahmins only by birth, rather to the qualified Brahmins.
Gurudev, we have something in the chat box. May I go ahead and read it?
Yes, please.
Praveen Prabhuji says the famous Vishnu Pad Mandir is offered bhoga for the pinda, as you said. And Banu and Kanti Prabhuji said, late question about verse 7. Why did Lord Chaitanya need an excuse to talk about Krishna as a disturbance of bodily airs if it could have been understood by others as his love for Krishna?
Well, it might not have been, I can't really say, it's not mentioned here, why he made this excuse. I won't speculate on it. Whether it was out of humility, he didn't want to pose as a lover of Krishna, or whether people just wouldn't have gotten it, wouldn't have understood, or what the reason was. It's not mentioned, so I won't hazard a guess. So Shike, yes?
Somebody just posted, Murari Prabhuji just posted, Hare Krishna Maharaj, what would qualified brahmanas look like and do today?
Well, of course, what they'd look like means how would they be acting. So Shama Dhamma Tapa Shocham Shantirarjuvam Evacha Gyanam Vigyanam Astikyam Brahma Karma Shobhavajam. They would show these qualities mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Control of the mind, control of the senses, austerity, cleanliness. The Shocham Napi Chacharo Sacham Teshu Vidite. The demonic have no idea what cleanliness is, but a Brahmin is by nature Bhaya Bhyantara Shuchi. He's clean in his habits, he's clean in his thoughts, very pure. Pure in his activities. Shanti. He's tolerant and arduous, straightforward. He has knowledge, real knowledge, spiritual knowledge. Gyanam, Vigyanam. And he has faith in God. He can't be a materialist atheist. So these are some of the qualities by activities. Yajan, patan, dana pratigraha. He engages in sacrifice and engages others also. He is learned and makes others learned. He accepts charity and distributes. So these are also activities, political activities. So in that way, or those who are devotees of the Lord, the Vaishnavas, they're automatically counted as the best of the Brahmins. Hare Krishna. Chachike Premadan Tabe Advaita Milon, Advaita Pailo, Bishparup Darshan. Thereafter, the Lord delivered love of Krishna to his mother, Shachi Devi, nullifying her offense at the feet of Advaita Acharya. Thus, there was a meeting with Advaita Acharya, who later had a vision of the Lord's universal form. Purport. One day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sitting on the throne of Vishnu in the house of Srivas Prabhu, and in a mood of his own, he said, "My mother has offended the lotus feet of Advaita Acharya. Unless she nullifies this offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, it will not be possible for her to achieve love of Krishna." Hearing this, all the devotees went to bring Advaita Acharya there. While coming to see the Lord, Advaita Acharya was glorifying the characteristics of Mother Shachi Devi, and thus, upon arriving, he fell down on the ground in ecstasy. Then, under the instruction of Lord Chaitanya, Shachi Devi took advantage of this situation to touch Advaita Acharya's lotus feet. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very much pleased by his mother's action, and he said, "Now my mother's offense at the lotus feet of Advaita Acharya has been rectified, and she may have love of Krishna without difficulty." By this example, Lord Chaitanya taught everyone that although one may be very much advanced in Krishna consciousness, if one offends the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, his advancement will not bear fruit. We should therefore be very cautious not to offend a Vaishnava. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has described such an offense as follows. Yori Vaishnava Parad Ute Atimata Upale Ba Chinde Dar Shuki Yai Pata. As a mad elephant may trample all the plants in a garden, so by committing an offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, one may spoil all the devotional service he has accumulated in his life. After this incident, one day Advaita Acharya Prabhu requested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to display the universal form. To display the universal form, he had very kindly shown Arjuna. Lord Chaitanya agreed to this proposal, and Advaita Prabhu was fortunate enough to see the universal form of the Lord. So here Kaviraj Goswami is just summarizing pastimes of the Lord described in greater detail in Chaitanya Bhagavat. Kaviraj Goswami has many times explained that he's not going to transgress the etiquette by just rewriting what has already been explained. by previous author, but where Vrindavan Das Thakur has described, has left things out for the sake of keeping the book within limits of size. Kaviraj Goswami will add something. So here he's just touching upon these pastimes that Vrindavan Das Thakur explains more elaborately. Here, the Prabhupada expands this theme that by offending the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, one can lose everything. All progress can be nullified by offenses at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. So we should be very, very careful about this. And Shamsundar Prabhu has a question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj and the other Vaishnavas. I had a question about this point about the devotional service being spoiled. I see in Gita it says, there's no loss or diminution. It's very encouraging words, but then also this mad elephant offense, of offending a Vaishnava. It says it spoils all your devotional service. So it sounds kind of like a contradiction. Could you please elaborate a little bit? All right.
Yeah, it is a contradiction. Normally, well, in material activities, whatever we do is lost. You either by the course of events or finally by death, whatever we achieve is gone. I may be a great scholar in this life. In the next life, I have to take birth as a foolish child, and there's no promise that again I'll be a scholar according to my karma. Sometimes I gain, sometimes I lose. That's how it goes. But on the spiritual path, whatever progress I make is permanent progress. So in this life, if I make 10% progress toward Krishna, and in the next life I begin, Prabhupada said, from 11%. If I get to 80%, I begin from 81%, and so on. So it's not lost like ordinary material achievements. One's and Prabhupada Punya Tam Lokan Ushitva Shashvati Sima Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Brajta. Even if I fall down from the yoga system by distraction, still in my next life I'll take birth in a fortunate family. Purvabhya Sena Tena Priyashe Priyate Yavasho Pisaha. And automatically I'll become attracted to the principles of yoga or the principles of devotional service. So in that way, there's no loss, no diminution. It's permanent credit. But offenses to the feet of a Vaishnava are so toxic to the advancement of Krishna consciousness that can wipe out everything. Normally, no loss, no diminution, steady progress, build up our spiritual capital, our spiritual credit. But if we offend a Vaishnava, then everything can be lost. Everything can be lost. So the rule is no loss. But if we offend a Vaishnava, then the rule is everything can be lost. Therefore, we should be so careful not to offend the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. And I hope that clarifies the matter.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Yes.
Thank you, Shamsundar.
We have a question, Gurudev, by Venkatesh Prabhu. Hare Krishna Maharaj. How to rectify if another devotee takes offense due to some misunderstanding, while nothing offensive was done by oneself? Sometimes that devotee is apparently not in a mood to have a conversation.
Well, what can be done if the person is causelessly, what's the word? Causelessly feels offended. There are different strategies, of course. He's not in the mood to have the conversation. There are other ways to try to make amends or to patch up the relationship. One may sometimes give him a gift or do him a favor or appreciate, or it's not that the only way to do something is, okay, let's talk it out and get to the bottom of this. That's a very, that's a common approach. Let's sit down and talk this out. Sometimes that approach is not welcome, or it doesn't work, or it's just not the best approach. And there may be other ways by which the relationship can be repaired without necessarily having to, what's the word, delve into the ins and outs of what may have happened, but just to move forward. Or sometimes one may just apologize that, all right, I'm sure that, I didn't understand how much this would cause you unhappiness. So please forgive me. By humility, by good behavior, and so on, one can try to rectify. And generally the Vaishnavas are forgiving. Hare Krishna.
Praveen Prabhuji has posted, Hari sthane aparade tare, Hari naam toma sthan aparade nahi paritran.
Yeah. Even offenses to the ordinary offenses can be rectified by Harinam, but what can we do to rectify offenses to a Vaishnava? We should be so careful not to commit Vaishnava offense, especially on social media. Social media somehow is conducive to offenses toward others. It's a commonly observed feature of online discourse that things that one would never say or do in person, one says or does on the internet. So we should be very careful not to be victimized by that, should we say, digital offensive environment in such a way that we offend Vaishnavas. One should be very, very careful. Hare Krishna.
Guru Maharaj, I was just wanting to ask that, yes, as Vaishnavas, we're all individual, but sometimes some people can get, like Vaishnavas could be really moody and they get highly strung, and sometimes just looking at them is enough to set them off. So I'm wondering, as we progress and become purified and stronger in Krishna consciousness, if one does get moody, is that a signal or a symptom that there's a lot that your Krishna consciousness isn't quite where it's supposed to be? Well, you already know that, but is it more of a signal to indicate that?
Well, for ourselves, we can think that our moodiness or our moodiness maybe is a sign that I'm not sufficiently Krishna conscious. but we should be careful about thinking that way about others. Buddha Payana Pankai, and that verse from Upadeshamrita, the Bhaktivinoda Thakur comments, if I have it right, that the superficial defects in the body of a devotee should be ignored, as one should ignore dirt or stool or junk in the Ganga and consider the Ganga pure. One should consider the Vaishnavas pure because of their relationship to the Lord in devotional service. So Prabhupada expands on that by saying if he has a bad complexion, or he's born in a low family, or other such bodily defects, then that should be overlooked as superficial. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur comments that this applies to the subtle body as well. To be moody, to be this or that, such characteristics are found in people by dint of their particular subtle bodies. Someone is always happy-go-lucky, someone is more moody, someone is more critical, someone is more, loud. People have different natures on account of the subtle embodiment. So sometimes it may be found that a Vaishnava is moody, or he's critical, or he's something else that we don't think highly of. But with reference to Srila Rupa Goswami's verse, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that this should be taken as superficial, and what one shouldn't therefore criticize the Vaishnava. He may be talkative, he may talk to himself, people mumble and talk to themselves, or they may appear proud or this or that. But we should be very careful that these are Vaishnavas, so we shouldn't see from the superficial point of view. We should see how they're engaged in Krishna service. Among other things, then we'll be a lot happier. In the purified heart, one thinks of the Vaishnavas in terms of their eternal relationship with Vishnu, not in terms of some superficial characteristic that we can criticize. So that's, if we think of them in terms of that pure relationship, then our hearts become purified, and we avoid offenses. It's very hard to just have that superficial vision in which we see the Vaishnavas in terms of material considerations, Vaishnava Jati Buddhi, in terms of birth, in terms of the gross or subtle bodily defects. Very hard to think of them that way and not commit offenses. My mentality is offensive, and then somehow or other I try to bite my tongue and not say anything. But it's hard because my thinking will be reflected in my, the way I look at people, and the way I speak, and the way I deal with people. So we should try to purify our hearts by a humble frame of mind, and by sincere chanting down the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, we have a comment by Murari Prabhuji. It feels dangerous to our own spiritual life just to read some of the content on social media about other devotees.
Yes, it's polluting. if we see nasty pictures, our minds become polluted. And if we hear nasty criticism of Vaishnavas, our minds become polluted. And how many times can we respond? In an assembly, if someone insults a Vaishnava or a great soul, one can defeat the person or cut out his tongue or leave the place. On the internet, what can you do? I'd stay here because this is my platform where we reside. And then so many offenses are being committed, and do I want to get into another disputation and try to defeat this person's nonsense, or in some other way deal with it? One's whole life can become messed up. So what are the alternatives? One can avoid social media, or you figure it out. But these platforms are not, what's the word? Well, again, Maya doesn't just give, Maya takes. So Maya gives all this facility. You can now get into a conversation with thousands of people all over the world. But on the other hand, we can commit Vaishnava aparadhas and ruin your spiritual life. We should be very careful. Hare Krishna.
Guru Maharaj, there are some devotees, I can't remember, and also maybe one of the Goswamis, that would never criticize anybody. And I'm thinking, that book, Animal Farm, by George Orwell, you had that bull, it just stuck in my mind, that bull that just worked tirelessly and was completely oblivious to whatever was going on, not wanting to take any part, in whether certain actions were right or wrong. So I'm thinking, on the one hand, if we say, okay, we're not going to criticize, that means you're not going to make any judgments whatsoever. But then wouldn't that make you like that bull, that you're just now going to be blind to whatever's going around you?
Yeah, one shouldn't be blind and foolish, just as Prabhupada talks about respect to the Brahmins, but one should see who are the Brahmins. So one should be, one should not be blind, but still one should not be foolish. All right, even if I see some discrepancies, I should be very careful when it comes to Brahmins. Lord Krishna instructed his sons that way in the incident concerning Maharaj Riga. There was one discrepancy in his dealings, and he became a lizard. Of course, it wasn't from Vaishnava aparadha, but there are many examples. Shobhari Muni comes to mind. He offended Guru. One should be very careful about Vaishnava aparadha. Therefore, it's said if a Vaishnava is not of good character, it doesn't say criticize him, avoid him, respect from a distance, sadhriyate, but don't criticize. Hare Krishna.
It's time for the closing kirtan. Venkatesh Prabhu, are you available today?
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Chacharini Nirvishesha Nirvari Satyadeshikari Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Jayādvaita Gadada Srivāsadhu Prabhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Devam Shvadhanam Hrivedanta Shatachaturvatan. Yes. Yes, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Nantavadi Vaishnavanda ki jai. Namacharya ki Hariyasmatul ki jai. Nimse Kalu Shukru Shekha Nirvalam Sanda. Shalvai Radha Shivasa Divarvasanda ki jai. Radha Krishna Gopina Sham Radha Giri ki jai. Shivandan Musalam ki jai. Nadik Mayapur Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Gangamai Yamunamai ki jai. Musa Devi Bhakti Devi ki jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhakti ki jai. All glories of devotees, all glories of devotees, all glories of devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
Thank you, everyone, for joining, and thank you so much for the kirtan. His Holiness Gurudev Jayādvaita Maharaj Shri Ki Jai.
Yeah.
If I could just say one thing, for our farewells, I'd rather not be Gurudev for that, because it's not a presumption of our program here that everyone's going to be my disciple. I'll be everyone's Gurudev. You can, if you're addressing me personally, I don't mind those who are my disciples, but let's not make it a principle that somehow this is a guru disciple meeting. It's open for everyone. So it's just I prefer, let me do it that way. But thank you. But still, thank you all. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Jaya.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare